They say the loneliest place to be is in a bad marriage, and I believe that now more than ever, because I never felt as invisible as I did lying next to someone who used to love me. My name's Matt. I'm 37. I'm a firefighter in Austin, Texas. 13 years on the job. I've pulled people out of burning buildings, cut crash victims out of twisted metal, stood in smoke thick enough to choke a horse, and none of that ever scared me as much as sitting across the dinner table from my wife, feeling like a stranger in my own home. People think firefighters are made of stone, that we're always fine, but I was falling apart silently, and no one saw it, not even her. I met Savannah in 2016 at a friend's birthday cookout. She was sharp, magnetic, sarcastically charming, a school psychologist, the kind of person who asks how you're doing but never reveals anything unless it serves a point. That mystery pulled me in. We started dating that fall, got married 2 years later. She was fire, I was structure. She made me feel alive. For a while, we had that energy, passion, surprise weekend trips, long showers, laughing until 2 a.m. The physical part? Great, frequent, fun. We couldn't keep our hands off each other. And then one day, it just stopped. There was no slow decline, no drifting, just a switch. One moment we were tangled in bed. The next, I was getting side hugs and sleeping in a cold room with a wife who couldn't be bothered to look up from her phone. I figured it was stress. Her job was heavy. She worked with kids who carried more than they should at their age. One student in particular kept her up at night, and I could tell it weighed on her. We went from spontaneous intimacy to once every 2 months, mechanical, detached, like she was ticking off an item on a list. I tried to bring it up, gently. "Are you okay with how things are between us?" I asked one night. I feel like we're drifting." She didn't even flinch. "Matt, I'm tired. I don't think about that stuff like men do. It's not a big deal." But it was. It broke something inside me. Not just intimate, emotionally. I didn't feel wanted or chosen. I felt like a roommate. A roommate who paid half the mortgage and fixed the sink. I didn't lash out. I didn't cheat. I just stayed. And then came Taylor. Taylor is Savannah's younger sister, 28, works in digital marketing. I hadn't seen much of her in years. She was always the loud one, the messier one. After a rough breakup, she needed a place to crash. Savannah invited her to stay with us for a few weeks. I didn't argue. Honestly, I barely had the energy to care. I was pulling double shifts, sweating through emergency runs in 110-degree heat, and coming home to a woman who barely looked up when I walked in the door. Taylor arrived like a tornado. Spotify playlists, cereal boxes left open, barefoot all the time, talking through every movie. But she brought something that had been missing in our house: life. The last few days I went to sleep in the guest room. She noticed things quick. "You always sleep out here?" she asked, grabbing a beer from the fridge one night. I gave a tired shrug. "Savannah's been tired a lot lately." Taylor gave me a long look. "Savannah's been tired since we were kids. Girl used to fake a headache to get out of family dinners." I chuckled. First time I had in days. It felt foreign in my mouth. A few nights later, I came home late. Another fire, 3 hours in bunker gear, soaked through with sweat. Savannah was already in bed, as usual. I ate reheated spaghetti at the kitchen table, staring at the dark window. Taylor walked in, barefoot, wearing one of those long sleep shirts that hit just below the hips. No bra. She poured herself a glass of water and leaned against the counter. She looked at me and said, "So, did she tell you that intimacy is on hold?" I didn't flinch, just nodded slowly. Taylor tilted her head. "And you're just supposed to live like a monk now?" She wasn't teasing. She wasn't mocking. She sounded sad. For me. Then she stepped forward. "Let me." Just 2 words. But my chest locked up. Every instinct in my body screamed yes. Every lonely night. Every cold shoulder. Every time I heard Savannah laugh at work texts but go silent when I asked how her day was. It all boiled over. But I didn't move. I stood up. My hands were shaking. "I can't," I said. Not because I didn't want to. God, I wanted to. But because I still loved my wife. Or maybe I loved the version of her I was desperately holding on to. I walked outside, stood by the edge of the pool in full turnout fatigue and stared at the water. My reflection didn't even look like me anymore. Taylor never mentioned it again. But something between us changed. She started treating me differently. Like someone worth seeing, worth choosing. And deep down, I started to wonder, if I could resist her sister out of love and loyalty, then what did it say about Savannah that she couldn't resist someone else? Because what came next broke me more than any fire ever could. A week after that night in the kitchen, Savannah told me she was going on a weekend getaway with her co-workers. Some kind of spa retreat in Sedona, stress relief, team bonding, whatever. She told me over her shoulder while packing a small overnight bag, like she was heading out for groceries. No kiss, no eye contact, just a, "Don't forget to feed Duke," and she was gone. That left me and Taylor in the house. Again. I'll be honest, I should have gone somewhere. A friend's place, a hotel, even the damn firehouse. Anywhere but there. But I didn't. I stayed. Not because I wanted to be near Taylor, even though the energy between us was charged in ways I didn't want to admit, but because I was tired of running from my own house. Friday night, I got home from a 12-hour shift, still smelling like smoke and ash. Walked into the house and something smelled good. Garlic, wine, sautéed onions. Taylor was in the kitchen, barefoot again, wearing one of those long shirts that probably wasn't meant to be worn in front of your sister's husband. She smiled when she saw me. "Hope you're hungry." I was starving, for a lot more than food. We ate together at the kitchen table, pasta, red wine, laughter that felt too easy. She made me watch a ridiculous reality show after dinner, and we ended up on the couch. Not touching, not talking much, just sitting in the thick air between us. At one point she looked at me and said quietly, "Do you still think about her? What it used to be like?" I hesitated. That question carried too much weight. "I do," I said finally. "Not because I want to, but because I don't recognize who she is anymore. And I miss the woman I married." Taylor nodded. "I watch her treat you like a joke," she whispered. "And I just keep thinking, if I had someone who looked at me the way you look at her, I'd never take that for granted." She reached out, brushed her fingers against my cheek, and I froze. Every nerve in me was electric. Her hand lingered, but I didn't move. "I can't," I said. "I made vows. Even if she broke hers, I haven't." She pulled back slowly, nodded. "I get it." She stood up, said goodnight, and went to her room. I stayed on the couch with a glass of wine in my hand and a war in my chest. I wanted to feel like the good guy, like I had done the right thing, but all I felt was broken, because I wasn't even sure who I was trying to be good for anymore. Saturday passed in a blur. I did chores, took Duke for a long walk, cleaned the garage. Taylor kept her distance, but I caught her watching me more than once, with that same soft expression, pity mixed with something else. Sunday evening, Savannah came home, dropped her bag at the door, gave me a distracted nod, walked straight into the bedroom, scrolling her phone. No kiss, no, "I missed you," nothing. 5 minutes later, she was in bed, back to the wall, glowing screen lighting her face. And for the first time, I didn't feel hurt. I felt free, because something in me had snapped, and that quiet, empty return made one thing absolutely clear. She had already left this marriage. She just hadn't bothered to pack her things. The next morning, something strange happened. She left her laptop open on the kitchen counter. I wasn't snooping. I swear I wasn't. But a message notification popped up in the corner. Some generic male name. Zach. I almost walked away. Almost. But something about it itched. I clicked, and the world tilted. There were dozens of messages. Inside jokes I didn't understand. Flirty comments. Missed you last night. Can't wait for your hands again. One photo she sent him in a hotel mirror. Lingerie I'd never seen before. The timestamp? Same weekend she was supposedly at the spa. I didn't breathe, didn't blink, just scrolled. There were older messages, months old, maybe longer. Mentions of work conferences, business trips. Don't leave marks this time. I closed the laptop. My hands were shaking. That was it. All this time I thought I was the one resisting temptation, fighting to be loyal, thinking she was just tired, distant, stressed. But she wasn't tired. She wasn't lost. She was gone. Long gone. And worse, she'd made me feel guilty for wanting to be touched, for needing affection, while she was out there letting another man undress her in hotel rooms. I didn't confront her right away. I went to work the next day, climbed ladders, hauled hose line, busted through drywall with my fists. Anything to burn the rage out of my body. But it didn't burn out. It simmered. And then came Wednesday. Wednesday evening, I got home later than usual. A false alarm turned real at the last minute. Kitchen blaze in a duplex. We got it out fast, but the heat had been suffocating. I was exhausted. My shirt clung to me. My boots were still damp. I just wanted a shower and something hot to eat. As soon as I stepped into the house, I knew something was off. It was too quiet. Not the usual cold silence I'd grown used to. This was tight, coiled silence. The kind that waits to explode. Savannah was sitting at the kitchen table. No phone in her hand, no food, no wine. Just sitting. Elbows on the table, hands clasped in front of her, jaw tight. Her eyes met mine, red-rimmed, angry. I closed the door behind me slowly. "Hey." She didn't answer, just stared. And then, out of nowhere, her voice, flat, sharp. "Are you sleeping with my sister?" I blinked. The question hit me like a slap across the face. "What?" Her nostrils flared. "Taylor, don't act confused. I've seen the way she looks at you. And I saw you two on the couch Sunday night, laughing, drinking wine, sitting too close." I dropped my gear bag on the floor and took a breath. "Nothing happened, Savannah. Not even close," she scoffed. "Right. And I'm supposed to believe that? I haven't touched her. Not once. Haven't kissed her. Haven't so much as brushed her arm." Her eyes narrowed. "You looked like you wanted to." That's when the anger flared in my chest, a slow, dangerous heat. I stepped closer, keeping my voice low and steady. "You know what? I did want it. For 1 second. After 2 years of cold dinners, cold beds, and colder stares, someone finally looked at me like I was still a man, but I didn't touch her. I got up. I walked away, because I loved you." Her mouth opened, but I cut her off. "I walked away because I thought you were just tired, or stressed, or maybe you didn't know how to ask for help. I thought we were salvageable. I thought there was still a version of you that gave a damn about this marriage." I laughed, dry, humorless. "But here you are, accusing me, with nothing, not a message, not a moment, just a look, and yet you've got the nerve to act betrayed?" Now it was her turn to freeze, because she knew. Her eyes twitched, her hands clenched. "I found your laptop on Monday," I said, quieter now. "It was open. You left the messages pulled up. You were texting during your spa retreat." I pulled out my phone and opened the photo I had taken. Screenshot of the messages. Turned the screen to face her. "Zach, I miss the way you taste. You. Me too. I needed that. Same time next month?" Savannah's face went pale. She looked at the screen like it had teeth. "You weren't at a spa," I said. "You were in a hotel with someone named Zach. While I was working 12-hour shifts and feeding the dog and telling myself this marriage just needed time." She didn't say a word. "I trusted you," I said, almost choking on it. "I turned down your sister out of loyalty. And you? You were busy arranging your next weekend with another man." Her mouth opened again, finally, but no words came out. "You made me feel ashamed for wanting you. You made me feel needy for missing your touch. You let me question myself for months, while you were sneaking around with someone else. And now you want to talk about betrayal? Her hands trembled. Her face collapsed in a swirl of guilt and fury. You think I meant for that to happen? She snapped finally. It wasn't some big affair, Matt. It just happened. I was lonely too. I nodded slowly, jaw tight. Difference is, I chose not to act on that loneliness. You didn't. She fell back into the chair like her legs had given out, covered her mouth with her hand, said nothing. I looked around the kitchen, the same one where we'd once danced barefoot to old songs, where I'd made her pancakes on Sundays. And now? It felt like a crime scene. Like love had bled out on the tile, and no one called for help. I turned toward the hallway. I'll sleep on the couch tonight, I said. But not because I'm guilty. Because I'm done. I didn't sleep that night. Not because of guilt. I had none left. Not because of fear. There was nothing left to fear. But because silence, real silence, is louder than sirens when you finally hear it for what it is. Savannah never came out of the bedroom. Not to yell, not to argue, not even to ask if I was staying. And I didn't go to her. I couldn't. I wouldn't. I lay on the couch, staring at the ceiling fan spinning slowly above me, the only sound in a house that once had laughter, once had music, once had us. Now, just that quiet hum of something dead still pretending to be alive. Every hour felt like a mile of distance I was putting between us, without moving an inch. The next morning, I woke to the sound of Duke's nails tapping across the hardwood floor. He sat by my side, head tilted, tail giving one lazy wag like he was asking, "Is it over yet?" "Yeah, buddy, it is." I got up, made coffee, didn't bother knocking on the bedroom door. I wasn't interested in another apology wrapped in excuses. I'd heard enough. I'd believed enough. Instead, I walked into the kitchen and found something else waiting. A small handwritten note, folded neatly and placed by the sink. Taylor's handwriting. "Matt, I'm sorry. I never meant to be part of this unraveling. You didn't do anything wrong. You were kind, loyal, and better than either of us deserved. I can't stay here. You deserve peace, and I just made things messier. Take care of yourself. T." No phone number, no forwarding address, just absence. I didn't try to find her, not out of spite, but because I needed to stop chasing ghosts. Taylor wasn't the answer. She was just the reflection in the shattered glass that made me finally look at the wreckage. And it was time to step through it. I filed for divorce that Friday. I didn't tell Savannah in person. I emailed her the paperwork while she was at work. The next morning, she knocked on the front door of the apartment I had temporarily rented on the other side of town. She didn't cry at first. She just stood there, disoriented, as if seeing me in a different space, a space without her, was harder to process than the betrayal itself. "I didn't know what I was doing," she said. Her voice was quiet, fragile. I didn't say anything. I didn't feel wanted anymore. You were always gone. The shifts, the exhaustion. It felt like you lived in a fire truck. I nodded. "Yeah. And when I came home, I slept on the couch while you laughed at texts from another man." That stopped her. She swallowed. Her eyes welled up. "I thought you'd be patient forever." "I was," I said. "I waited for you long after you were already gone." She stepped forward slightly. "We could go to therapy. Try to fix this. I still love you." I looked at her. Really looked. At the woman I once would have run through a burning building for. And all I saw was smoke and memory. "This isn't about love anymore," I said. "It's about respect, and you lost mine." She cried. She begged. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel pulled. I didn't feel guilt. I didn't feel anything but clarity. 2 months later, I moved into a small third-floor apartment on the south end of Austin. Nothing fancy, clean floors, quiet neighbors, a little balcony that overlooked a parking lot, and, if the sky was clear, the edge of the hill country. Duke settled in fast. He sleeps at the foot of my bed now. I kept working shifts at the firehouse, Picked up a few more, started helping train rookies, started showing up for myself. There's something about fire that teaches you how to move forward, how to walk through the worst and come out breathing. It didn't heal everything, but it reminded me, healing isn't passive. You don't wait for it. You choose it. Every single day. 3 weeks ago, I got a message. Savannah. First time I'd heard from her since the papers were finalized. I miss you. I think about you every night. I didn't realize how broken things were until you left. I'd do anything to undo it. I stared at the screen for a long time. Not angry, not sad, just quiet. And then I turned off my phone and set it face down on the table. Because she was right. I had finally left. Not just the house, not just the marriage, but the waiting. People think firefighters are fearless, that we run into burning buildings, pull people out, face the worst and come back whole. But the truth is, sometimes the hardest fire to survive is the one inside your own home. And sometimes the bravest thing a man can do is walk away from a house that already burned to the ground and never look back.